All righty, I'm launching right into this, and it's just a privilege and an honor to be here to speak today. I'm Jeff Langham, one of the shepherds here, and have worked for many years with different ministries here, but currently with the children's ministry as well. Now, already I see what you're thinking, those of you who had come piling in today to see Buddy Bell in action, but you're not going to throw me, because in my day job, this is part of my activity, serving as the substitute. I have to frequently serve as the substitute for the state superintendent of education. And people have lined him up, and they're all excited about seeing him, and then I show up. And I look at the disappointment on their faces and the eye rolling, and I frequently try to calm the waters and say, you're expecting the state superintendent, a.k.a. Elvis Presley, but instead you're getting Donny Osmond. So deal with it, and let's move on from there. But it is such a privilege today to speak on behalf of our children's ministry here at Landmark. And anything that I've got to say will be very anticlimactic compared to the wonderful faces of these precious children, to see our very capable and wonderful volunteers that work in this ministry. And once again, could we have an extra round of applause for Al and Hannah and everything that they do in this work. I'm so privileged to serve with a team of elders who see the critical need to have a strong, flourishing, vital, dynamic children's ministry here, because absolutely we're reminded that children are our future, and they're the future of this church. They're the future of our society. Without further ado, if you'll join me in looking at Luke 18, verses 15 through 17. We're continuing this journey through Luke in the unexpected. And today I've titled the lesson for the next few minutes, The Unexpected Thought That Little is Big. Kind of flipping that thought there. Little children are a big deal. Those littlest among us have a big impact. And we see this so clearly in the book of Luke as we open up this scene on a busy street there. And Jesus is sitting there. There's such energy and enthusiasm. Parents with their youngsters see him and go running to him with joy, with exhilaration, with exuberance. And how are they greeted? That red carpet rolled out? Absolutely not. Red-faced disciples are waiting as those people are bringing their babies to Jesus. The disciples saw them, and we go from there. I'd like to do a choral reading of this with all 9,000 of you. So let's try this as we look above from Luke 18. People brought Wow. Just a few lines, but what lessons are there for all of us when it comes to children and children's ministry? Now, those children flocking to Jesus, what kind of reception did they get? Not like, whoa, slow down there. Or no. They were shooed away by red-faced disciples. No hospitality there at all. Now, before we pick too much on those disciples, let's remember how children were viewed back in the Palestine of Jesus' day. Sorry to say it, but children were just viewed as unimportant. Now, certainly important in the confines of the family unit, and male children especially, that they were revered and adored. But once you got into the realms of society, children were somewhat of a nuisance and, bottom line, unimportant. And certainly these red-faced disciples who were serving as the crowd control role, they were playing up to that, because they wanted to ensure that Jesus had more important things to be doing. The teaching and healing and flocks of people that needed that. So get these children away. Well, Jesus quickly and sternly turned the tide on that and said, whoa, let these children come to me. And not only just let me see them and have them in my lap and love on them. You adults, important lesson here for you, that unless you reflect the attitude and the spirit of these children, don't look forward to the kingdom. That these children reflect everything that I want reflected in the kingdom there. We think about those wonderful qualities that children have that so often elude us as adults. We think of the innocence, that openness, that trust, that receptivity that kids show. And most importantly, the humility there. We think of the fact of how the children came to Jesus so freely, so openly, and so trusting. Think about us as adults in that same kind of image, that we would have to analyze the situation a little bit. There's always that sense of fear, or let's check this out, or even many times, like a Pharisee, a sense of pretentiousness as well, saying, well, let me make sure I'm the first to flock up here if I'm going to flock. But children totally have gotten by those kind of qualities there. They come with such a true humility and openness and beauty there that it makes all the difference in the world. So bottom line, it comes to us, and so importantly, that as we saw there, Jesus has those two important lessons, that we are to welcome children, we are to bring them to us, and that we are to come to Jesus with a lack of pretension. We come forth boldly, very lovingly, with that same energy and enthusiasm and loving spirit that our children show. With that in mind, there's no doubt that children are a big deal. Children's ministry is a big deal. And I hope that you've seen from all the various networks of it that it's absolutely a big deal here at Landmark. And so looking very quickly at just a few reasons why children's ministry is such a big deal. Now, I want to use the words interchangeably, children and kids today. And sometimes people say, oh, kids, that sounds a little disrespectful. Kids to me is a very fond, loving term there. So let's not get bogged down in semantics. But children or kids or whatever, people say kids or billy goats, whatever. That moving along, don't lose track here. But first and foremost, when it comes to our children and our love for them, number one, children. Door number one. Thank you. Children need a solid spiritual foundation. And there's absolutely no question about that and how that makes all the difference. And to think that from these earliest years, how that foundation is so important. You know, right off the bat, you saw that the nursery is a very important part of our ministry here. And we're so proud of Lindsay Donaldson and Kelly Sermon. Can we have a round of applause for them? The work that they do in our nursery. Not a babysitting service there. Your children are getting those foundational needs. They're having those spiritual truths before them in their earliest years there in the nursery. And what a difference that can make as we're building that solid, that strong foundation. Also, and secondly, it's important to keep in mind that children are truly our next generation of leaders. You know, they might seem a little wild and ill-tempered now, but how true that is about the fact we've made that into somewhat of a cliche that children are our future. But we lose the fact of how true that really is, that these children that we're seeing on the stage today truly are our future church leaders, our future community leaders, our future game changers, and keeping that in mind. You know, I've spent 95% of my career in education, and it's so remarkable as you see that unfold. Those children that you remember from the classroom who were so unruly and challenging, Then you're in the same audience where they're the head of the Chamber of Commerce, and how that can completely blow you away. And it reminds you how important it is to build those foundations now. It's been so interesting to me when you think about that journey through education. Many of you are aware of some of the challenges I've had with my heart in the last few years, but it's been certainly a God thing. As I've gone through that journey, I, every step of the way, have entered a room for a diagnosis or follow-up treatment or help and assistance, and I've had one of my former students there that caught me by surprise in that, and that's very humbling. Fortunately, they were all good students, but but it's pretty remarkable how you see that full circle of what we put into it today, what you put into education today will set such a foundation for these children. You know, how do we cut down among gossip among adults? Love kids well. How do we build strong marriages? Love kids well. How do we prepare for the next generation of leaders that we really want to solidify everything we're trying to do? Just love those kids well, and those things will naturally unfold. But putting our love and support and energy into our children now will make all the difference in the world. And making sure they have a strong grasp on those spiritual truths makes all the difference in the world. Thirdly, we're reminded of the fact that children are learning to form relationships now, and how wonderful the sweet friendships that they form with each other through Bible class and other opportunities, but more importantly, their exposure to the adults now, and how those teachers are making such an impression on them. You know, I'm about to hit a big milestone on a birthday coming up, but even though I'm becoming an older adult, I still have such vivid memories of those earliest years in my Sunday school classrooms. Back when they had things, cover your ears, young boys and girls in the audience, flannel boards that were, you know, just the iPad of our day. Pretty impressive. But how those earliest teachers are still so ingrained in my heart today, and just the responsibility that they carried, but how memorable those experiences are, and all of you could share the same. And so it's informing those relationships with those fellow classmates, with those teachers, that can make all the difference in the world. Fourthly, children, thank you, parents need to be equipped for family discipleship. And that the discipleship is all a part of it, in us having a complete loop, in completing that circle. Having worked in both private and public education, one of the biggest challenges in education today is the fractured family, and the fact that our schools work to do the very best that we can, but if we don't have some semblance of a family unit helping us to complete the loop there, how limited our work can be. And that certainly goes to right here with our work as a family, discipling those children, completing the loop with what the teachers and the mentors around here that can do around your family dinner table, around your family encounters, and how important that can be. That's why I love Bible Memory Challenge, that you saw so many of our award-winning students. It's hard to describe the hours of work that goes on behind the scenes with these young men and women, ingraining these scriptures in their hearts. Parents working with us on that as teachers using that as a part of their curriculum, really at these early ages, getting those foundational scriptures down to memory there. Such a great way to disciple and to carry on from there. It's about so much more than getting our children to Jesus. It's once they do, to have those nurturing experiences of discipleship to continue to carry them on upon that road. And then finally, that children need to experience the unconditional love of God through us. that simple, loving faith that they can clearly see by ongoing exposure and experiences here at Landmark that can make all the difference in the world. And to have them have those opportunities continually. And the way that we can do that by putting out love to those who are leading and nurturing our children here. And once again, completing that full loop so that we can have the full essence of those experiences. So children's ministry is a big deal. As we seek to build that foundation, as we prepare our future leaders, as we really strengthen and ground our relationships now, it's all so foundational and important. And certainly teaching children is seen as a big deal in the Bible. And just scanning through quickly many of the scriptures that are related to that. Proverbs 22 is one that so many of us know by heart. Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn away from it. And gives us really that charge to carry forth there. Deuteronomy 6 and 7, putting those commandments on your hearts, and how important it is every step of the way to impress those commands on your children. When you walk, when you're lying down, when you're standing up, over and over and over again. Just the consistency and the intentionality of that. Continuing along, Matthew 19, 13 through 15, just in the Gospels, another portrait of what we shared from Luke there, that trying to shoo away the children and saying instead, bring those children to me, that this is the most important aspect of knowing how to treat children, as they are a reflection of the kingdom there. And then 2 Timothy 3, 14 and 15 just talks about our importance of learning and continuing in that learning, and how foundational that it is there. And knowing, bottom line, from infancy, the importance of knowing those scriptures, and saying that here, and particularly through our nursery infancy ministry, that we continue to walk along these lines. So over and over we could go with these things that are so important, that children's ministry indeed is a big deal in Scripture. It's a big deal in God's kingdom. It's a big deal here at Landmark. And you all got your handout in your service sheet about the big deals coming up here at Landmark. We've been able to celebrate Bible Memory Challenge today, and it's every year Bible Memory Challenge is a big deal, so take advantage of that. Kids Blast coming up, senior and junior. Vacation Bible School, this year focusing on the fruits of the Spirit. Slip and slide nights, preferably for the children, but if any of you adults get carried away, you may certainly get out there. Family Fun Night is always a great activity as well. So, and blah, 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 blah. Don't take my word for it. I got some of the best experts on really giving you the impact of these activities. My wife, Jenny, and sister-in-law, Kelly, and I have had the privilege over the past year of teaching the third grade. And they wanted to share some of their sentiments about the children's ministry here at Landmark. So I'd like to share that with you at this time.
John Mark, what is your favorite part of children's ministry at Landmark?
Kids Blast, because you have fun at the beginning, and then you play salamander, and then you get to worship God and sing songs and learn about Him, and then you have lunch, and then you have free time, and then you get to go home.
Because I like Family Fun Night, because you get to be with your family and get to learn about God at the same time.
Well, I love how the parents translate the stories to make it sense to the children so they can learn about God in a good way.
I like to be here and with my friends while we learn Bible and learn what it's like to be a Christian.
Bible Memory Challenge is important because you have the verses hidden in your heart, so that when you get older and you're stuck in a problem, you'll have the verses memorized so that you know what to do to get out of the problem.
We are the
depending on you to help us grow spiritually.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's your charge there that we so clearly see. And we see that energy, that excitement, that enthusiasm. Now, once again, we're not trying to sign you up for children's ministry today, but if your heart is so touched and you'd like to get involved, we would love to have you. And I loved what we were hearing earlier from Al as he was sharing the story about what one of his students said recently. There are thousands of stories like that when you have children's ministry, the funny things that can be said. One of my favorites came about a year ago from Grant Gorski, who is a brilliant young man who is in our children's ministry. And we were just asking him as a third grader what he felt like his talent or spiritual gift was. And he very readily said, "I know more about the economy than any other children in this classroom." Keep in mind, he's third grade. And so I said, well, very good. And a young lady sitting next to him looked at me as the teacher very quizzically and cocked her head and said, "What's the economy?" So you always have adventures like that. But what a privilege, what an opportunity, and so grateful for the Kids Kingdom here, and just ask for your continued prayers, whether you have children, whether you don't have children, to know that it's all of our work, and to seek guidance and blessings upon that work to lead it in the right way. You know, the gospel invitation is always open to you, and whether even related to what we've talked about today in children's ministry, if you need the prayers of the congregation, if you need strength and direction, if you're looking for that opportunity to put on Christ in baptism, that opportunity is always open, and certainly want to give you that opportunity today as we move forward in this day of a true celebration of our children in the Kids Kingdom. Thank you.